This is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
May 1st was the deadline for rollout of Real Estate Regulation and Development Act or RERA. While some states showed some progress and action, one of the states which had a huge number of distressed buyers held back its draft rules. That state is Uttar Pradesh. But now there is good news. UP government has redrafted its RERA rules. And to talk about these new rules, we have with us Alok Kumar. He is founder, Federation of Apartment Owners Association, Ghaziabad. And we also have with us Sunil Tyagi. He is senior partner, Zeus Law. Anyway, before we start with our guests, let me just tell you what exactly has happened to the drafted rules. The redrafted rules say that all projects without completion certificate as on May 1st, that is when RERA came into effect, are ongoing projects as per the Central Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. Thus, the same provision will apply to all projects in UP without CC as on May 1st. Now, the committee headed by Special Secretary Housing Mahendra Singh will submit the new rules to the government for approval before notifying the next set of draft rules. To talk a little bit more about this entire redrafting of rules, we have with us Oinitam Ojha, our assistant editor. Oinitam, what exactly has happened? Why has the government thought again over these rules, and what are the key changes that you feel that have taken place?
Well, first, why this rethinking and redrafting the rules? That is primarily because, remember, very recently the Central Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu paid a visit to UP. He held extensive meetings with UP Chief Minister, and that is actually the main trigger, and of course the immense pressure that the government, the UP government has been under from the home buyers. There has been several protests, even FIRs have been filed in police stations. So yes, two things together going hand in hand, which is why the UP government then appointed a special committee under the Special Secretary Department of Housing, UP government. They have looked into the details of the rules which were earlier notified, the draft rules notified by the prior regime, the Akhilesh Yadav government. Then consequently, in the past few days, they redrafted all the rules, and now they have actually done away, that is what sources tell us, they have done away with few provisions which actually exempted the developers from coming under the strict rules as far as ongoing projects are concerned under RERA. Now, what are these provisions? The earlier draft rule said that, all those projects where work has been completed and the developer has applied to the competent authority for completion certificate, they will not come under the provisions of RERA. And also, if up to 60% of the sales or lease deed has already been executed, 60% of the apartments, those projects too were exempted. So similar rules, there were 4 provisions in fact, those have been dropped now, and now the special committee will send his report to the government for further approval. Back to you.
Okay, that's great. So one thing is clear, that 4 clauses have been dropped, and it seems that the entire definition of ongoing projects is sort of reworked here. Let's begin with our guests. Let's begin with you, Sunil, first. Since you are the legal expert, now if we take away all those 4 clauses and we talk about a new definition which is in line with the central definition, does that mean that almost all the ongoing projects will come into the purview?
Yes, as per the Central Act, every project wherever the completion certificate is not in place on the date 1st May will be covered by this RERA Act. UP government in its first drafted rules, which were notified also, had granted certain relaxations, but now in case these are revised and all these 4 conditions are removed. So all projects which were there and haven't received completion certificate on 1st May will be covered under this act. They will have to comply with all the provisions for registration and everything else which is provided under the act.
Now, if this is correct and this really does happen, this is a big news for the home buyers. Alok, what do you say? Because you've constantly been fighting about these issues. Do you feel that the new government is showing some seriousness?
नो डाउट मुझे तो लग रहा है कि योगी गवर्नमेंट का योगी इफ़ेक्ट दिख रहा है और कुछ बातें हमें लग रही थी कि वाकई हो जाना चाहिए था बहुत पहले ही, लेकिन अखिलेश गवर्नमेंट ने इसको डिले करते गए और उनका शायद इंटेंशन नहीं था इसे इम्प्लीमेंट करने का, बट योगी सरकार आते ही काफ़ी कुछ बेहतर हो रहा है। हम लोगों ने कई ऑब्जेक्शंस फाइल किए थे, करीब 32 ऑब्जेक्शंस हम लोगों ने बताए थे कि चेंजेज होने चाहिए। इवन ऑन गोइंग प्रोजेक्ट में भी जो हमारा अपार्टमेंट ओनर एसोसिएशन कई बार मुश्किल से बनाया जाता है कि भाई अगर बिल्डर नहीं देख रहा है तो हम बना लेते हैं कि जो हमारा मेंटेनेंस है वो हम कर सकें, लेकिन उन सब प्रोजेक्ट को इसके बाहर कर दिया गया था। तो हमें बहुत इस बात का दुख था कि इस तरह से नहीं रूल को चेंज कर देना चाहिए था। हम लोगों ने वेंकैया नायडू जी से भी मिले थे और उन्होंने बड़ा आश्वासन दिया था कि नहीं, ये एज इट इज़ इम्प्लीमेंट होगा राज्यों में, कम से कम हमारा जहाँ सरकार है वहाँ तो होएगा ही। तो ये सरकार आने के बाद और योगी जी ने इसको बहुत सीरियसली लिया और ये चेंज हो गया है, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। लेकिन हमें अभी भी एक जानकारी लेनी थी और मुझे बता सकती है मैम कि ये जो पेनाल्टी क्लॉज था उसे भी उन लोगों ने ड्रॉप कर दिया था, उसमें चेंजेज हुए हैं या नहीं? तो वो क्योंकि वो बड़ा अहम चीज़ है, क्योंकि डिले फ्लैट अक्सर हाँ बिल्डर कर देते हैं और वो पेनाल्टी क्लॉज का जो प्रोविज़न था वो माइनस हो गया था पिछली बार वाले में। तो वो और बहुत सारे बायर्स की हमारी क्वेरी रहती है। और हमने एक अभी जस्ट कुछ और बातें थी जो अथॉरिटी नहीं बनाया गया, डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी ट्रिब्यूनल नहीं बनाया गया, इन चीज़ों को के लिए भी हम फाइट कर रहे थे और अभी हमने इसके लिए कुछ किया भी है।
Mr. Tyagi, I'd like to ask you one question here. Before Oinitam answers about this penalty clause, I would like to focus my question to you, because I have seen this myself personally as well, that when you go and ask for an OC or a CC, and if I'm not wrong, we were discussing this earlier, that there is no concept of an OC in Uttar Pradesh. But even if as a buyer, I want to see a CC, it is simply impossible to try and get even a copy of it from the developer. Now, what are my rights as a home buyer so that I know whether the developer has a CC for my particular project or not, so that I can take further legal actions? And please do advise what kind of legal actions.
Under RERA now you have the right to ask for any information which you require from the developer. In fact, the developer will keep every information, quarterly updates of construction schedule, the sales, everything on the website of the authority, where every developer will have its own page.
But
so all permissions approval will be uploaded.
There are no websites. So what I want to know is, can a consumer go to the builder and say, I want to see a copy, a physical copy of the CC, either give me a copy or something?
Obviously, the buyer has every right to ask for this document from the developer. In case they are not providing, that's not the correct thing. But the buyer will always have a right to go to the authority and file an RTA and obtain all these copies of all permissions, including completion certificate or any other approval permission.
Okay, so if my builder is not giving it to me, then I can go to the authority and try and get that. Anyway, let's move to Oini now. Oini, would you like to address Alok's question? Because it is imperative, it is an important question. People do want to know about the penalty clause.
Yes, absolutely. As Alok has already mentioned, there were certain leeways that was being given under the earlier rules of RERA in UP, where the 70%, there was some kind of adjustments made there as far as the 70% clause was there for depositing of consumers' money. Now that particular clause has been done away with. What I mean to say is that the central laws provisions apply here. So the builders will have to set aside 70% of their money in an escrow account. In fact, going a step ahead, what the UP government is also likely to do is that they are likely to set up a special committee to monitor how the funds are being used.
Okay, so we are seeing some action here. I'd like to come back to you, Sunil, because you know, we've been tweeting about this and we've been talking about how even certain government agencies, there was speculation how certain government agencies could take over constructions, but you had your reservations about it, that this is not a very easy thing. Now, what do you think about the attitude that the government is showing now, not only at the state level, the central government as well?
Yeah, the intention of the state governments now and the central government is very clear. They are focusing on the delivery now. They are looking at somehow the developers have to deliver the projects. There are a number of buyers who are suffering a lot. they have to be secured and delivery has to be made. For that, they are pushing this rules and act very rigorously. But I still see there are many states where rules have still not been notified and regulators have yet not been appointed. When we say it from 1st May, we have to draw some balance about the completion certificate clause. 1st May, probably there could be a developer who receives completion certificate on 5th May, and their state where rules have still not been notified, regulator is not in place. Whenever it happens, is he supposed to register and go back and do the entire compliance work when he's already received completion certificate, let's say on 5th May? Yes. So some balance somewhere has to be drawn. May not be the way it has already been relaxed in some states, may not be that, but some balance has to be drawn somewhere on this clause.
Yes, there is absolute confusion because there is no government machinery that we see on the ground right now. Alok, when you talk to various home buyers, developers as well as authorities, do you feel that anybody has any sense as to what is going to happen? Because I feel it's going to take at least 3 to 4 years for things to actually materialize and see it on the ground.
नो डाउट अंजलि, आप सही बता रहे हो, क्योंकि हमारे पास जो भी बायर आते हैं वो बड़े कंफ्यूज हैं कि क्या करें. मतलब बेसिकली हमारी मुलाकात ज़्यादातर बायर से होती है. 1 मई को ही मेरे पास बहुत सारे SMS और लोगों के व्हाट्सएप आए कि अब तो रेरा आ गया, अब हमारी घर के मुराद पूरी हो जाएगी. और मैं जब काफ़ी हद तक पता किया तो अथॉरिटी वालों से भी पूछा, उन लोगों ने बताया कि अभी हमारे पास कोई भी इन्फॉर्मेशन लीगली नहीं आई है. ना अथॉरिटी बना, ना ट्रिब्यूनल बना, ना वेबसाइट के लिए अभी तक टेंडर फ्लोट हुए. इसके चलते मुझे अभी इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट में PIL फाइल करनी पड़ी. एंड PIL फाइल करने के बाद चीफ जस्टिस दिलीप भोसले जी ने गवर्नमेंट से बोला कि विद इन 1 वीक हमें पूरा डिटेल बताओ कि भाई तुमने क्या क्या किया इसके ऊपर. और आज भी फ्राइडे, आज भी हियरिंग हुई है. आज भी गवर्नमेंट लॉयर ने 1 वीक का और समय मांगा है. नेक्स्ट फ्राइडे तक वो डिटेल बताएंगे इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट में. तो मुझे लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट को स्पेशली कुछ एक कमेटी बनाकर अथॉरिटी के लिए, ट्रिब्यूनल के लिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारी ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करानी पड़ेगी. वेबसाइट बहुत बड़ा बनना है क्योंकि सारा कुछ ऑनलाइन होना है. तो वेबसाइट के लिए भी टेंडर फ्लोट करके, क्योंकि वो 2-3 महीने का समय लेगा. मुझे लगता है कि सबको ऑन ग्राउंड आने में अनदर 6 मंथ लग जाना है जब से ये रजिस्ट्रेशन वगैरह शुरू हो जाए.
Have you seen any activity, Alok? Have you seen any activity in terms of making a authority or for that housing? Because as we know right now, the housing secretary is sort of working as an interim regulator. But have you heard anything happening about appointments or?
नहीं, मुझे अथॉरिटी में जो बात हुई अथॉरिटी के CEO से, एवं गाजियाबाद डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी के जो चेयरमैन से, उनसे भी, तो उन्होंने बोला कि हमारे यहाँ ट्रेनिंग के लिए रेरा के ऊपर मैसेज आया है कि हम लोग एक ट्रेनिंग कैंप ऑर्गेनाइज करें और अपने लोग को ट्रेनिंग बताएं कि क्या क्या रूल्स हैं हमारे. लेकिन जैसा कि अभी गवर्नमेंट फिर चेंज करने जा रही है, तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी तक कोई ट्रेनिंग वगैरह हुई नहीं है. इस तरह के लेटर्स आए हैं लेकिन ऑन ग्राउंड अभी तक कोई भी काम शुरू नहीं हुआ है.
ट्रेनिंग विल हैपन वंस द रूल्स आर सेट. बट सुनील, इफ वी टॉक about the rules, the Central Act has more or less, has everybody's approval. Everybody feels that it's a good act which is going to empower the home buyer. Developers have their problems. They've always said that this kind of act will bring too much regulation and the prices will go up and a lot of many things. But how do you think post-RERA and pre-RERA, in terms of real estate, how do you see these two eras? Because in my opinion, as a buyer from pre-RERA, I think post-RERA buyer is so protected that I feel jealous of the post-RERA buyer.
So definitely once the RERA is in place, the buyers are more secured, more protected. So there are two parts of this entire industry majorly. One is a service provider, the other is a service recipient. There's too much focus on recipient because they have suffered a lot in past. So it's very good that they have secured the interest of the service recipient. But as far as the service providers are concerned, for them to deliver on time, definitely there are defaults on many parts or for many reasons, but there are definitely reasons relating to the authorities and the government where permissions are not given on time. So some single window clearance system, some timelines should have been provided where authorities give the permissions approval within a time frame so that the developer is also able to deliver. Ultimately, this will benefit the recipient, customer only.
But why not bring in the authorities as well into the RERA ambit? Because we've all felt that authorities are stakeholders. They are landowners. They are involved in a lot of things. Then why is it that our government always ignores the authorities and the agencies when these rules are drafted?
So as we see, there are many authorities that themselves are already in default in NCR region, those who had allotted plots but have not been able to deliver for various reasons. So the authorities will also be covered under the Act, but there is for the interim period, authorities themselves are being appointed as regulator, whereas they are on the one side promoter. So for 6 months period, there will be some conflict as far as those authorities themselves being in default and themselves being the regulator.
But let's say the housing department of that particular, because the entire authority would not be under the RERA, would it be?
No, the authorities which are selling the plots or apartments, they will be promoters. They will also require to be registered like any other developer in the RERA. So they will have to also comply with the same provisions as like any other developer.
Okay. Yes, Alok.
एक मेरा बड़ा क्योंकि हम लोग अपार्टमेंट एक्ट पे काम कर रहे थे पिछले 2010 से, जब से यूपी में आया, और अपार्टमेंट एक्ट का पूरी तरह से बर्बाद होने का एक बहुत बड़ा कारण था कि जो कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी है वो डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी के ही सीईओ को बना दिए गए, और जो जिन्होंने जो गलती की थी और उन्हीं को उसका जज बना दिया गया। तो वो एक्ट को उन्होंने पूरी तरीके से बर्बाद कर दिया। इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के नाम पे बायर के साथ बहुत बड़ा धोखा किया गया। तो हम लोग यूपी गवर्नमेंट को भी इस बार बोले कि भाई इस तरह से ना हो। रियल एस्टेट अथॉरिटी जब आप बनाएं तो ऐसा ना हो कि डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी के लोगों को आप उसमें इन्वॉल्व कर दें। तो अगर ऐसा कुछ होगा तो फिर तो एक्ट को इम्प्लीमेंट करना बहुत ही टफ टास्क हो जाएगा।
So the overlapping has to be avoided. But Sunil, don't you think that the UP Apartment Act, or for that matter various acts of various governments, you know, there was one in Maharashtra as well, they were somehow toothless, you know. The acts were good, they were never implemented. Even the consumers had no clue that it existed, so they could never actually take any advantage out of it. How do you feel RERA is going to be different here from those acts?
So the RERA will be an authority exclusively meant to monitor all this. Earlier the authorities were given various tasks and this was one of their tasks, and this was given the least priority. Now there will be an authority which is meant only to regulate and supervise this entire development system of the flats or apartments or plots and delivery to the buyers. So authority, it will depend on the authority also how they use their powers. They have been given ample powers under the Act. Now we have to see how they exercise their powers. If they exercise their powers, there will be good results, I'm sure.
Yeah, we hope so. Alok, I would like a small preview, sort of like a micro view of the thing, that how has it been in UP for home buyers, you know, because Noida, Greater Noida, Yamuna Expressway, these are the areas that were driving the real estate. And now suddenly, after a while being on top, they suddenly fell from grace. Now, what kind of harrowing times has a buyer seen there?
अब नो डाउट लोगों के पास तो वाकई ऐसे ऐसे लोग मिलते हैं जो लगता है कि उनकी फैमिली ही बर्बाद हो गई। कई लोग ऐसे मिलते हैं जिन्होंने सुसाइड अटैम्प्ट तक कर लिया, उनकी फैमिली आके बताती हैं तो मुझे मतलब आप खुद भी मिलोगे तो आपको लगेगा कि वाकई इससे बुरा हाल कुछ नहीं हो सकता है। मुझे लगता है कि लेकिन इस बार बहुत लोगों के सपने जागे हैं या लोग को लग रहा है कि वाकई मेरी कुछ ना कुछ बातें होंगी। लेकिन मुझे सबसे बड़ा डर, मैं अभी भी पिछले कुछ टाइम पहले अथॉरिटी के लोगों के साथ बैठा था, उनसे यही हो रही थी बात कि भाई जो बिल्डर भाग गए हैं, जो दिखाई नहीं दे रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट से प्लॉट अलॉट कराया, बायर से पैसा ले लिया, गवर्नमेंट को केवल 10% रुपया दिया, बैंक से भी लोन ले लिया, उसके ऊपर बैंक का भी पैसा बाकी है, बायर का भी पैसा है, अथॉरिटी का भी पैसा है, और वो एब्सकॉन्डिंग हो गए हैं। वैसे लोग कहाँ जाएं, क्या करें, किस तरीके से करें? क्योंकि अथॉरिटी कहती है भाई मेरे पास कुछ ऐसा पावर तो है नहीं जो मैं जादू की छड़ी घुमाऊं और आपका घर बना दूं। घर तो डेवलपर को ही बनाना है और डेवलपर सामने दिख नहीं रहा है। तो वो वैसे लोगों के साथ कैसे इंसाफ होगा? गवर्नमेंट क्या कदम उठाएगी? जेपी जैसे बिल्डर जो कहते हैं कि मेरे पास फंड ही नहीं है, अब आप क्या कर सकते हैं उनके साथ? तो कुछ उसमें मुझे लगता है कि सरकार को आगे बढ़ना होगा, एक बड़ी कमेटी फॉर्म करनी होगी, ऑटोनोमस बॉडी है अथॉरिटी, उसको एक नए रूल्स फ्रेम आउट होने होंगे, बड़े बड़े डेवलपर को लाने होंगे, कुछ एक्स्ट्रा FAR कुछ ऐसा देना होगा, नहीं तो मतलब बहुत सारे होम बायर्स हैं जिनके सपने अधूरे रह जाएंगे।
This is interesting here, Sunil, that a buyer is saying that you need to actually help out developers because it's in interest of the buyers. Now we've also heard that certain buyers, developers are actually returning land because they're incapable of doing anything. Now, where does that distinction happen, that you realize that the developer is now incapable and something has to be done? Nobody wants to admit that.
So yeah, so my presumption, if the land which they are surrendering are those land where they haven't initiated the project or allotted the flats or plots to anybody. I am presuming that.
Yes.
But within the RERA, the authorities has been empowered wherever the projects are not completed and the registration is cancelled. Authority can step in for the development of the remaining work. And in that scenario, Buyers Association has been given first right of refusal to complete themselves the remaining pending work, whatever development work is pending. So that power is there. There could be a shortage of funds, probably to get in the flats and complete the project. Buyers may, in case of shortage of funds, have to contribute little more, but at least they will get their own flats. They will not be dependent on somebody or without the flats, I guess.
But in this entire scenario, even if the builder defaults and everything, we see that the company goes bankrupt or whatever, they don't have the money, but the developer, he himself is not impacted. The personal wealth of the developer is not impacted. No, so like you can hear a buyer saying कि Jaguar में घूम रहे हैं, BMW में घूम रहे हैं. It hurts the buyer, you know. So is there no legal provision where the developer personally becomes responsible for this or answerable for this?
So the penalties and fines and imprisonment has been provided under RERA. So now wherever the projects are pending, the authority can impose these penalties, fines, and prosecute them for this.
Okay, so even the now the pre-RERA projects, which thankfully now that the ongoing project definition has changed, which will come into the ambit, can be those developers can be at the risk. You say?
Yes.
So that I think is a good news. Alok, what do you say to that? That is one great news. जो आपका जेल में जाने की बात या पेनल्टी की बात थी, अब वो उन लोगों पे भी जाएगी, वो डेवलपर जो अब तक हेरा फेरी करते आए हैं.
नो डाउट है, रेरा में प्रोविज़न है. मुझे इसलिए लग रहा है कि रेरा जल्द से जल्द इम्प्लीमेंट होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जो प्रोविज़न है इसके लिए बहुत बड़ा काम करना पड़ेगा. अथॉरिटी के लिए इतना आसान नहीं होगा, क्योंकि जो डेवलपर हैं वो केवल 10% डिपॉजिट किए हैं पैसा, और काफ़ी पैसा वो उठाकर कहीं और इन्वेस्ट कर दिए हैं. तो इसके लिए मुझे लग रहा है कि अथॉरिटी जब तक आगे बढ़ के, सरकार आगे बढ़ के नहीं आएगी, कुछ नए रूल्स लेके नहीं आएगी, नए FAR लेके नहीं आएगी, तब तक कोई नया डेवलपर भी नहीं आएगा. तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ जब तक कोई ठोस कदम नहीं उठाया जाएगा, लोगों को इंसाफ नहीं मिलेगा.
ठोस कदम, a strong step, and we are hoping that this drafting of the rule, revision of the rule is that ठोस कदम, and something happens out of it. And buyers are hopeful, we are hopeful. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining this conversation. Noida, Greater Noida and Yamuna Expressway has some of the biggest defaulting developers, and the buyers are getting desperate here. Unless UP government strengthens RERA, the buyer of UP will be a victim who paid for his own torture. It's time for us to say goodbye now. Thanks for watching The Realty Debate.